Good day, everyone. I am King Robin Malsin Daco, and I'll be your fifth and last reporter for today. I will be covering moral distinction up to the last part of this unit. So let's start. Human acts may either be in conformity or not with the dictates of reason. Human act, as a sort of review, human act refers to those actions that are performed by a man knowingly and freely, meaning gibuhat to niya in a way nga aware siya that he is doing it and he is free o wala siya gipugos to do such thing. Human act may either be in conformity, meaning pwede siya mo-coordinate or not with the dictates of reason. So what is the dictates of reason di ay? Dictates of reason refers to shared consciousness of prudent people about the propriety of a certain action or manner of behavior. Meaning, dictates of reason, nag-refer siya sa awareness of wise people about the appropriateness of their action towards a given situation. It shows what is permissible, so allowable in a given situation, or the best option as the matter of fact. Ginapakita niya kung unsa ang tama nga action or the best nga action nga imuhang pwede i-perform in a given situation. Dictates of reason stands for the norms of morality in which the standards by which the actions are judged as to their merits or demerits. So dictates of reason for me, it's like a criteria on how you judge the person's action, kung unsa ba gyud ang gi-perform sa tao, tama ba or angay ba siya awardan, hatagag reward on his actions, or angay ba siya i-punish tungod sa iyang action. On the basis of their relation to the norms of morality, actions are classified into three, which is moral, immoral, and amoral. First is moral. So, what is moral actions? Moral actions refers to those actions which are in conformity with the norms of morality. They are the good actions and are permissible. So, muuto siya ang mga tama ang actions. Kung unsa ang tama, that is the moral actions. Example to that is working, studying, paying a debt, telling the truth, and loving a friend. So, tama ra ang gibuhat sa imong crush, nga gihimo ra ka, gi-friend zone ra ka, kay loving a friend. Charot lang. So, second is immoral action. Immoral action refers to those actions that does not in conformity with the norms of morality, meaning the opposite of moral actions. Katong mga bad and evil actions and not permissible, dili allowable, dili tama nga actions. So that is immoral actions. Example of immoral actions is refusing to help the needy. So, mubalibad ka nga mutabang, even if you know how to help them. Committing murder, adultery, stealing, and telling lies, mamakak. So, those are really bad actions or evil actions which are really not permissible. So, those are immoral actions. So, that's what immoral action is. Mga dili angay nga mga butang or mga bad actions. The third one is amoral actions. So this one, amoral actions are those actions which stands neutral in relation to the norms of morality. So naa siya sa tunga. They are not neither good nor bad. So dili siya maayo, dili pud siya ingon nga daotan. But certain immoral actions may become good or bad because of the circumstances attendant to them. Meaning, na ay mga amoral actions na pwede mahimo og immoral o pwede po siya mahimo og moral. Example, playing basketball. Playing basketball is not good nor bad, di ba? But, because of a certain situation, pwede siya mahimo og immoral action. Example is, playing basketball when you still have a class. Di ba? It is considered as cutting classes. And cutting classes is a very, very, very not allowable in our institution or schools or bisan pa kay cutting classes is a really not a good thing. So, if you are playing basketball while you still have a class, so it is not a good thing. So, makonsider na siya as immoral action. But, pwede po siya mahimo, playing basketball can also be a moral action. Example is, you play basketball as a practice. If you are a varsity player, you are practicing basketball. So, which is a really good thing. So, pwede po siya nga, makonsider na siya as a moral action. Third one, the next one is the extrinsic and intrinsic evil. So, extrinsic, according to Merriam Dictionary, means that originating from or on the outside, meaning gikan siya sa gawas. Synonym of that word is external, alien, or foreign. So, gikan siya sa gawas. Next is intrinsic. Intrinsic means belonging to the essential nature or constitution of a thing, meaning he is already a part of that constitution or that thing. Synonym to that is built-in. Okay. The sweetness of a mango. Diba? Something is considered to be intrinsic if it is integral to it. Natural na yun na sa iyaha. That is considered as intrinsic. Example to that is the sweetness of mango. Diba? Naturally, mango is sweet. Meaning, the sweetness of the mango, the concept of the sweetness of the mango is intrinsic to the nature of the mango. But for some people, they don't like the concept of the mango as the sweetness of the mango. They don't like the sweetness of the mango, which is very unnatural, which why we consider the concept of that as an extrinsic to the nature of the mango. Okay, to much more elaborate that, let's proceed. Next is, some actions are intrinsically evil because their nature is defective either by excess or by lack of certain attributes. So, pwede siya mahimo og intrinsic evil when maglack siya og some attributes. Example to that is stealing. Stealing is considered to be an intrinsic evil. Pwede siya intrinsic evil siya because it lacks of respect for the property of others. So, nagkulang siya og respeto towards the property of other people. So, stealing is naturally evil. Nature of stealing by nature, it manifests the lack of respect for the property of others. So, that's what I said earlier. Intrinsic evil. Actions that are intrinsically evil are prohibited at all times and under any circumstances. So, intrinsic evil refers to those actions na kanang considered siya as an evil action, naturally evil. For example, that is the crimes that we commit nga makaabad yun ta sa law. Those are intrinsically evil. Suicide is intrinsically evil, remains immoral, whatever is its justification. Diba? Suicide is really not a good thing. Next is extrinsic evil. Actions, because of a certain factors attached to them by the way of circumstances, render them opposed to the norms of morality. Some actions, nga bisan dili siya tana makaabide sa norms of morality, but because of the certain situation or naka-attach sa ilaha nga factors, pwede siya mahimo og intrinsic evil. Example to that is being drunk. Diba? Drinking liquor is not that bad naman, diba? But because if you drink too much, pwede na siya makonsider sa intrinsic evil. Drinking liquor is extrinsically evil when done in excess. Okay? So next is imputability of human act. The person performing the act is liable for such action, meaning that person shall take full responsibility of his action. Actions that either praiseworthy or blameworthy, meaning mga action nga pwede makapahimo sa iya nga angay siya purion or angay ba siya basulon. Next is the sanction and penalties. The penal law of our country provide for a system of punishment for crimes ranging from simple fines to imprisonment. So, ang atoang country naa siya nakalaray nga proper sanction on the crimes nga ato ang ginakomit. The capital punishment, that is death penalty is reserved for heinous crimes. Meaning, katong mga kanang ato ang major nga punishment is death penalty, which is naka-reserve for those major crimes also, which is the heinous crimes, which are example to that is killing. So katong mga ing ato nga mga krimen, naka-reserve gito siya para sa pinakadako pod nga sanction, which is ang death penalty. Unless also prohibited by the law of the state, immoralities are not given corresponding legal punishment, such as fines and imprisonment. The Bible, however, speaks of death as the punishment for sins, though the Old Testament interprets this as a death of execution, or it refers more to spiritual death or suffering. Kanang naay uban nga immoralities nga dili ta maka-abide sa law. Pero kanang naay mga certain nga kanang, but in biblical sense naatay kanang mga gituuhan nga in our term is gaba, which is kanang mura na pud siya sanction to us, pero dili sa batas but in God, in biblical sense. So next is voluntariness. Voluntariness comes from the word voluntas, referring to the will. It is essential to an act because if voluntariness is not present in a certain action, it is a mere act of man, or the opposite of human act. Voluntariness can be distinguished into 4 types, which is perfect and imperfect, and conditional and simple voluntariness. So let's discuss first what is perfect voluntariness. Perfect voluntariness refers to, is present a person who fully knows and fully intends an act. So, kanang iha gitong gituyo. So, perfect voluntariness. Kanang mga actions nga gituyo gito sa katao, then it is considered to be perfect voluntariness. Example is a man who wanting to get even takes a gun and shoot his enemy. So, kung gusto siya patas, and if ever mahimo sila pantay ang laban, he takes a gun and shoot a man or his enemy. Next is imperfect voluntariness. Present in a person who acts without fully realizing that he means to do it, without fully intending the act. So, katong mga actions nga iyang ginabuhat nga wala siya na aware nga pwede dai mao dayto ang result, or mga actions nga iyang gibuhat nga he is unaware of what he is doing. Example is a woman in terror tungod sa kahadlok, he might jump out of a window without fully intent to kill herself. So, wala siya nag-commit og suicide, but it's because of her fear nga nabuhat niya to jump out of on a window. Nabuhat to niya og kabuhat siya nga murag nahulog nga murag siya naka-suicide, but it's not her intention to commit suicide. It's because of her fear. So, it's a imperfect voluntariness. Next is conditional voluntariness. A person who is forced by circumstances beyond his control to perform an act which he would not do under normal condition. So, certain actions nga, for example, mga tao nga wala na sila choice but to do such thing. So, that is considered to be conditional voluntariness. Example is a child who is intimidated by his mother to study the lesson. So, wala siya choice because bata pa siya. So, wala pa siya option but to follow her mother. Next is simple voluntariness. A person doing an act willfully regardless of whether he likes it or not. It is either positive or negative. It is positive when the act requires the performance of an activity such as polishing the floor, paying rent, or playing tennis, and it is considered as negative when an act requires the omission of activities such as not taking prohibited drugs, remaining quiet, or not listening to the radio. So, kanang ang simple voluntariness refers to those acts nga ginabuhat nga willfully. So, kanang gusto gyud sa tao to perform such thing. So, it is an example of it is considered as simple voluntariness. And simple voluntariness can be classified into 2, which is negative and positive. It is positive pag mag-require ka to do such thing, while it is negative kung gi-require ka nga not to do that thing. So, mubalibad ka to do that thing. So, it is negative. Next. So, the next is type of voluntariness. First one is direct voluntariness and the second one is indirect voluntariness. Direct voluntariness is accompany an act which is primarily intended by the doer either as an end in itself or as a means to achieve something else. So this refers to those actions na gi-perform sa isa ka doer voluntarily to achieve direct result. Example to that is eating lunch, going to school, inviting a friend to a movie, reading a book, and writing a note. So those are examples of direct voluntariness. Next one is indirect voluntariness. Accompanies an act or situation which is the mere result of a directly willed act. Meaning, an example to that is getting a failed mark indirectly willed on the part of the student who has willingly neglected to study. So, example of indirect voluntariness is ang student nga kanang nisugot nga mobalibad mo study and moto siya yung direct action. But the indirect result of it is nagkakuha siya og failing mark. So that is an example of indirect voluntariness. Okay? The next one is indirect voluntary. A person is liable for his action and their consequences, but he is also accountable for results not directly intended. Meaning, we all know that person is liable for his action. So, the person shall take full responsibility of his action. But, he is also accountable. So, siya gyapon ang ihagyapong responsibility ang mga result nga indirect wala niya gituyo nga mahitabo. So those are that is indirect voluntary. And according to Paul Glenn, considers a person accountable for indirect voluntary result for his act when a person shall mapasangilan siya og indirect voluntary result if first, the doer is able to foresee the evil result or effect at least in a general way. So, ang tao nga nag-perform of certain act is kabalo siya kung unsa ang pwede mahitabo. So, that is also considered as indirect voluntary. Second, the doer is free to refrain from doing that which would produce the foreseen evil. So, the person nga mag-perform of certain act is kabalo siya pwede siya mobalibad to do such thing. So, if a person makakause siya of evil result, then kabalo siya nga pwede to mahitabo, he is accountable for indirect voluntary. The third one is the doer has moral obligation not to do that which produces an evil effect. So, kato siya is, meaning, kabalo siya, o naa siya moral obligation not to do that which produces an evil effect. So, aware siya of what his obligations are. Also, according to Alfred Panizzo, he had cited some principle. A person is held morally responsible for any evil effect which flows from the action itself directly and necessarily as a natural consequence, though the evil effect is not directly willed or intended. So, a person as I said earlier, a person is naa siya responsibility for any evil effect nga when he performs something then nagresult og evil effect, even if wala siya kabalo or wa to niya gituyo, so he still have to take responsibility of the evil result even if wala to niya gituyo. A human act which to effect may result one good and one evil is morally permissible. So, a human act, madawat ra ang human act nga pwede magka-result og dili maayo og maayo nga result under sa upat ka kondisyon. So, those conditions are, first, the actions which produces double effect must be good in itself or at least morally indifferent. So, consider siya as maayo siyang action if ang action nimo is maayo pod, meaning gibuhat to nimo without any evil actions, and or even if neutral lang siyang action or a moral action. 2. The good effect must not come from evil effect. To do evil in order to achieve something good is not justified. So, meaning, kung gusto ka magkabuhat og result nga maayo, dili dapat siya magikan sa daotan nga butang. Third one, the motive of the doer must be towards the attainment of the good. The evil effect is permitted only as an incidental result. So, meaning, ang motive sa performer or ang doer, ang iyahang motibo is to create good thing. If naa siya evil result, that is indirect, incidental nga panghitabo. Fourth one, the good effect must outweigh the evil result in its importance. So, ang maayo nga butang or ang maayo niya nga resulta, mas dako ang iyang maayo nga resulta compare sa evil nga result. These principles and conditions find application in the so-called therapeutic abortion. So, kato siya nga mga kondisyon, makita siya sa therapeutic abortion where the direct intention is saving the mother's life with the incident result of aborting the fetus. Meaning, gi-abort ang baby for the purpose nga i-save ang parent or ang mother. So, that is kato siya nga mga principle nga akong gi-mention earlier, katong 4 conditions nga giingon ni Alfredo Panizo, makita to siya sa atong example nga therapeutic abortion where the direct intention is the saving of the mother's life with the incidental result of aborting the fetus. Okay? Next is, I guess that is the last. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!